20 things that are much harder than they look. Some things look so easy that you assume you could do them with no problem until you actually try. Then suddenly, you're sweating, confused, frustrated, and wondering how other people make it look effortless. Because a lot of everyday skills seem simple from the outside, but secretly require timing, coordination, balance, precision, memory, or way more brainpower than you'd expect. So today, we're looking at 20 things that are much harder than they look. 20. Parallel parking. Parallel parking looks like one of those things that should be easy once you know the steps. Turn the wheel, reverse, straighten out, done. Except when you're actually in the car with traffic behind you, a curb beside you, and another car inches away. It suddenly becomes a full psychological breakdown. The reason it's hard is because it combines spatial awareness, steering precision, timing, depth judgment, and pressure all at once. You're not just parking. You're trying to place a moving object into a tight space while your brain is screaming. Everyone is watching. 19. Juggling. Juggling looks impossible at first, like some weird circus superpower your brain simply wasn't designed to do. But what makes it so difficult isn't strength, it's timing and coordination. Your hands have to move in rhythm. Your eyes have to track multiple objects. And your brain has to predict where everything will be a split second later. That's a lot. Researchers. Studying juggling and motor learning have found it's a genuinely complex skill that depends heavily on repeated practice and coordination, not just natural talent. Which is why beginners don't usually almost juggle. They either drop everything instantly or suddenly unlock it like a glitch in the Matrix. 18. Cooking the perfect egg. Eggs are one of the most deceptively difficult foods to cook because they seem basic. It's just an egg. How hard can it be? Very. A perfect fried egg can go from undercooked to rubbery fast. Scrambled eggs can go from creamy to dry in seconds. And poached eggs. Those things behave like they're being assembled by ghosts. The reason eggs are tricky is because proteins change structure very quickly with heat. That means tiny temperature differences can completely change the result. So while eggs are simple in ingredients, they are absolutely not simple in execution, which is why people who cook them well deserve a little more respect than they usually get. 17. Folding a fitted sheet. This is one of humanity's most humbling experiences. A fitted sheet looks like it should fold like any other piece of fabric, but the moment you pick it up, it becomes a soft geometric curse. The problem is that fitted sheets aren't flat. They have elastic corners, uneven tension, and a shape that actively resists becoming neat. So instead of folding cleanly, it kind of collapses into a wrinkled fabric octopus. And somehow, every person who knows how to do it acts like the method is super easy. No, it is not. This is domestic witchcraft. 16. Sleeping on a plane. At first, this sounds easy. You're sitting down, you're tired, just close your eyes. Except your body has other ideas. Sleeping on a plane is hard because your body is fighting. Awkward posture, cabin noise, dry air, light, limited movement, and often your natural sleep schedule. So even when you're exhausted, your brain stays annoyingly half alert. It's not that you can't sleep. It's that your body is trying to rest in a flying chair while someone opens pretzels 3 inches from your face. 15. Using chopsticks properly. People who are good with chopsticks make it look effortless, like the food just naturally obeys them. But if you didn't grow up using them, it can feel like trying to eat dinner with 2 rebellious pencils. The reason they're hard is because chopsticks require fine motor control, finger independence, grip precision, and repeated muscle memory. And unlike a fork, they don't really help you. They just expose whether your hand knows what it's doing. Which is why picking up rice with chopsticks can feel like a full hand-eye coordination exam. 14. Assembling furniture. Furniture assembly always looks easy in theory. You just follow the instructions. How bad could it be? Then 45 minutes later, You're holding a tiny wooden peg, a mysterious metal bracket, and a screw that definitely did not come from Earth. The reason it's harder than it looks is because it requires visual spatial thinking, sequencing, patience, attention to detail, and often interpreting terrible diagrams. You're basically doing low-stakes engineering with emotional consequences, and if you put one panel on backwards in step 3, you may not realize it until step 27. Which is why building furniture can go from productive afternoon to I now understand rage extremely fast. 13. Whistling. Whistling seems like one of the most basic things ever. Some people can just do it, and if you can't, it feels weirdly unfair because no one can fully explain it. They'll say things like, just shape your lips like this, blow gently, put your tongue here. Okay, great. That means nothing. Whistling is difficult because it requires very specific airflow, mouth shape, lip tension, and tongue positioning. So until your face accidentally finds the correct setup, you're basically just blowing confused air into the universe. 12. Keeping houseplants alive. A plant seems like one of the easiest responsibilities possible. It just sits there. How hard could that be? Apparently. Very hard. Because plants somehow require you to know the perfect balance of water, sunlight, drainage, humidity, temperature, and timing. Too much water. Dead, too little water. Dead, wrong window. Dead, moved it emotionally. Probably dead. And the cruelest part is, plants often don't tell you they're struggling until it's already too late, which makes keeping one alive feel less like plant care and more like solving a leafy mystery in real time. 11. Wrapping gifts nicely. Gift wrapping seems simple until you try to make it look clean. Suddenly, the paper is wonky, the corners look chaotic, the tape is visible, and the whole thing somehow resembles a rushed hostage negotiation. The reason it's hard is because neat wrapping requires symmetry, tension control, measuring, folding precision, and patience. And most people don't realize that until they're halfway through wrapping something shaped like a blender. That's when you discover that festive and structurally sound are not always the same thing. 10. Skipping rope. Jump rope looks like a basic childhood activity until you actually try to do it for more than 20 seconds. Then suddenly you're tripping, slapping your ankles, losing rhythm, and breathing like you've been chased through the woods. Skipping rope is difficult because it combines timing, footwork, rhythm, endurance, and upper and lower body coordination. You have to keep the rope moving consistently, while also making your body bounce at exactly the right moment, over and over again. Which sounds easy, until your brain and feet decide to completely stop cooperating. 9. Opening a stuck jar. This is one of the most disrespectful everyday struggles. Because it's just a lid, and yet sometimes it feels like you're trying to open a sealed vault. The reason this happens is simple. Stuck jars are often a mix of vacuum pressure, friction, grip strength, and torque. So it's not always about being strong enough. Sometimes the angle is wrong. Sometimes your grip slips. Sometimes the lid has decided your suffering is part of its journey. Which is why opening a stubborn jar can instantly become a full household event. 8. Balancing on one foot. Standing on one foot seems like something every human should naturally be able to do. And for a few seconds. Usually yes, but try holding it longer. And suddenly your body starts wobbling like it forgot how bones work. That's because balance depends on multiple systems working together. Your inner ear, vision, muscles, joints, and something called proprioception, your brain's ability to sense where your body is in space. Which means balancing is actually your body doing a surprising amount of invisible math. And the older you get, the more rude this fact becomes. 7. Making pancakes that actually look good. Pancakes should be easy. It's just batter in a pan, and yet somehow, the first one is always weird. Then one is too pale, one is burnt, one is oddly shaped, and one somehow becomes emotionally personal. The reason pancakes are harder than they look is because they rely on heat control, timing, batter thickness, and flipping confidence. Flip too early. Mess. Flip too late. Burnt. And somehow every breakfast commercial makes it look like pancakes emerge from the pan looking like perfect golden circles sent from heaven. That is not what happens in most homes. 6. Writing neatly with your non-dominant hand. This is one of the fastest ways to feel like your body has betrayed you. You know exactly what letter you want to write. Your brain understands the task completely. And yet your hand produces something that looks like it was written during an earthquake. That's because handwriting isn't just knowing letters. It's a highly practiced motor skill built through years of repetition and brain-body coordination. So when you switch hands, you lose all that built-in fluency. Your brain knows the destination. It just no longer has a reliable driver, and the result is deeply humbling. 5. Carrying too many grocery bags at once. This always feels like a smart idea at first. You're trying to save time, avoid a second trip, prove something to yourself for no reason. And then suddenly, your fingers are being sawed off by plastic handles and your posture has become experimental. The reason this is harder than it looks is because carrying multiple bags at once creates uneven weight distribution, grip fatigue, awkward swinging motion, and strain on small hand muscles. So even if the bags don't seem that heavy individually, together they become a very specific form of suffering. And yet we all keep trying it, because making to trips feels like defeat. For cracking an egg without making a mess. Cracking an egg should be one clean motion. Tap open, done. But in reality, sometimes shell goes in, sometimes yolk breaks. Sometimes the egg decides to explode with personal hostility. The reason it's harder than it looks is because eggshells need just enough force to crack. But not so much that you crush the structure entirely. That tiny sweet spot is annoyingly easy to miss. Which is why people who can crack eggs one-handed on command look way cooler than they probably realize. 3. Solving a Rubik's Cube. A Rubik's Cube looks like pure chaos. Like some impossible genius object made only for math prodigies and people who wear hoodies in documentaries. But what makes it hard isn't intelligence. It's spatial reasoning, memorization, and sequence learning. Most people fail not because it's unsolvable, but because random moves almost never get you anywhere useful. So until you learn actual solving patterns, it just feels like brightly colored emotional damage. And that's why it's so frustrating. It looks like a toy, but it behaves like a puzzle with an ego. To taking a good passport or ID photo. How hard can it be to stand still and look normal for 1 second? Apparently, extremely hard, because the moment you know a photo is official, your face completely forgets how to be a face. Suddenly your smile looks wrong, your eyes look panicked, your posture becomes unnatural, and somehow you look like you've just been accused of tax fraud. The reason this happens is because posed neutral expressions often feel unnatural to hold. And when people try to manually look relaxed, they usually become visibly less relaxed. Which is why official ID photos consistently look like they were taken moments before bad news. 1. Making something look effortless. This is the hardest one of all. Because behind almost everything on this list is the same hidden truth. Things only look easy when someone has practiced them a lot. That's what makes them so deceptive. When someone parallel parks smoothly, juggles without thinking, wraps a perfect gift, or flips an omelet like it's nothing. You don't see the awkward attempts that came first. You only see the polished version, and that's what tricks us into thinking that should be easy. When in reality, a lot of everyday skills are only easy after your brain and body have learned them the hard way. So if something feels weirdly difficult, it doesn't necessarily mean you're bad at it. It might just mean you've discovered one of those annoying little human tasks that looks simple, but absolutely is not. So the next time something looks easy from the outside, just remember, there's a good chance it's secretly way harder than it seems. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe for more videos like this.